He ordered pork. That's what finally exposed him. After 30 years of pretending to be royalty, conning billionaires, flying private, and living in penthouses, one bite of prosciutto brought it all down. This is the story of Anthony Gignac, the man who faked being a Saudi prince for most of his life and got away with it. Until he didn't. Anthony Gignac wasn't born into wealth. He was born Jose Enrique Moreno in Bogota, Colombia in 1970. His early life was hard. His parents abandoned him and his younger brother, and the two were left to survive on the streets. At age 7, they were adopted by a couple from Michigan and brought to the United States. For the first time, Gignac had food, shelter, and stability, but not status. Not admiration, not the power he craved. He saw how American society treated wealth. He watched classmates admire designer clothes and expensive cars. He learned that money didn't just buy things, it bought respect, attention, obedience. By 12, he was already telling people he was royalty. He claimed to be from a wealthy family, a cousin of Middle Eastern kings. He wasn't just pretending, he was studying, watching how people reacted when they thought they were dealing with power. At 17, he took the fantasy full-time. He started calling himself Prince Khalid bin Al Saud, claiming to be a member of the Saudi royal family. He forged documents, created fake diplomatic plates, and carried himself like actual royalty. And it worked. Car dealerships handed him the keys to luxury cars for test drives. Hotels gave him penthouse suites. He had no actual wealth, but he understood something more valuable, the psychology of status. Gignac learned that if you act like a billionaire, people treat you like one. If you say you're a prince and look the part, no one wants to be the one to question you. Why? Because calling out someone with real power could be dangerous. But kissing up to fake power, there's no risk, only potential reward. Gignac's con evolved into a career. He used a classic advance fee fraud structure. He'd claim his royal assets were frozen or tied up in international accounts. He just needed a small bridge loan, a few $100,000, to unlock millions. In return, you'd get access to deals, to power, to oil contracts. He promised 10x returns. It was an old scam with a new costume. By the 1990s, Gignac was living in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York, always in high-end hotels, always living far beyond his means. He ran up massive bills, used stolen credit cards, and kept reinventing his story. When he was caught, he served a little time, but nothing stuck. He'd get out and do it again. Better. Bigger. He once convinced American Express to approve a $307 million platinum account. Another time, he scammed a real estate executive out of over $1 million. And another? He was gifted luxury watches by someone trying to win favor with the royals. He was caught multiple times, arrested, jailed. But it never stopped him, because even when the lies unraveled, they left no permanent damage. He didn't need to maintain a full empire. He just needed each con to last long enough to cash out. Unlike most con artists, Gignac wasn't chasing a single payday. He was building a lifestyle. He wanted to be seen, respected, worshipped. He kept a dog named Foxy, carried in a Louis Vuitton bag. He traveled with an entourage. He wore robes, thobes, and custom suits, many of them knockoffs. He had fake Rolexes, fake Cartier, fake paperwork. Everything about him was curated for effect. He stayed at the best hotels, got tables at exclusive restaurants. Staff were told to refer to him as Your Highness, and he tipped in cash, sometimes thousands of dollars, to keep people from asking questions. But what made him dangerous wasn't just the performance. It was his understanding of the rich. Gignac knew that people with real money often wanted to believe in bigger money. A billionaire doesn't think like the average person. They think in terms of leverage, of opportunity. If a Saudi prince wants to invest $400 million into your company, are you really going to ask for a background check? That's how he got in the room. In 2017, Gignac set his sights on his biggest con ever, a deal with Jeffrey Soffer, billionaire owner of the iconic Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach. Gignac introduced himself as Prince Khalid. He said he wanted to invest $440 million to purchase a stake in the hotel. He said the Saudi royal family was diversifying into American real estate. He showed bank statements, wire transfer receipts, and proof of funds, all fake. He arrived in private jets, demanded Soffer gift him a $50,000 Cartier bracelet to show respect, promised oil partnerships, said his father, the king, would fly in to close the deal. Soffer was interested. He didn't want to lose a once-in-a-lifetime investor. But then came the dinner. They sat down at a luxury restaurant. Gignac ordered a charcuterie board. On it, prosciutto. He ate it. And Soffer's alarm bells finally went off. A devout Muslim prince? Eating pork? He said nothing at the table, but the next day he hired a private investigator. The PI's findings were fast and devastating. There was no Prince Khalid bin Al Saud, no Saudi investment fund. The bank records were forged. The plates on his car were fake. The passport, fraudulent. The Saudi embassy had never heard of this man. Gignac's past came roaring back. All the arrests, the scams, the aliases. Then, he made another mistake. He flew to Aspen and checked into the St. Regis. There, he exploded. He screamed at staff for not treating him with enough respect. Claimed his father, the king, would hear about this. He said he had a chip implanted in his neck that proved his royal bloodline. It was bizarre, delusional, and it pushed staff to alert authorities. Gignac left town, but now federal agents were watching. In November 2017, he flew back to New York. At JFK, federal agents were waiting. He was arrested with someone else's passport. Back in Miami, they raided his condo. What they found was incredible. Fake diplomatic license plate, dozens of forged documents, counterfeit Rolexes and designer goods spreadsheets detailing wire fraud, a written list of over 300 target names and companies' notes on how to manipulate wealthy individuals. He had left a paper trail, not just of lies, but of strategy. This wasn't amateur hour. This was a man who had studied the game for decades. He was charged with multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, and impersonating a foreign official. His bail? Denied. Too risky. In 2019, Gignac was sentenced to 18 years and 4 months in federal prison. The judge didn't hold back. They called it one of the most brazen, arrogant, and sustained frauds ever prosecuted in the United States. He wasn't just a scammer, he was a mirror. Because Gignac's cons only worked because people wanted them to. He promised money, prestige, a connection to royalty, and in exchange, people stopped asking questions. Even after he was exposed, some people refused to believe it. That's how powerful the illusion was. Gignac didn't have oil money, but he had something more dangerous: confidence and costume. He didn't just impersonate royalty. He weaponized society's obsession with wealth. He understood that a $10,000 suit opens doors, a private jet signals credibility and entourage, silences doubt a Rolex, even a fake one, buys time. In the circles he infiltrated, perception was reality. No one wanted to challenge him because the upside of being close to a real prince was too great. In a way, he didn't scam people with lies. He scammed them with their own greed. Gignac is in prison until at least 2033. No silk robes, no penthouse, no fake titles, no Foxy in a designer bag, just a cell. But the story hasn't been forgotten. There's been a documentary, a podcast, even talks of a scripted series. Because Gignac isn't just a criminal, he's a case study. In marketing, in manipulation, in status. He showed how easy it is to build a fake empire when society values symbols over substance. He never truly had money. But for decades, he lived like he did. Because he understood people. In the end, it wasn't the FBI or a whistleblower or some brave journalist who exposed him. It was prosciutto, one bite of pork. That's what gave him away. Because no real Saudi prince would ever eat it. But a con man might forget the script. That single moment shattered a lifetime of deception. Because even the greatest liars forget the small details. And in a world built on illusion, one crack is all it takes to bring the whole thing down. Anthony Gignac didn't just con the rich. He exposed them. He showed how desperate some people are to believe what flatters them, to invest in fantasies that make them feel chosen, special, connected. He built a kingdom out of nothing but charisma, costumes, and confidence. And for 30 years, it worked. But the truth doesn't stay hidden forever. Eventually, the prince eats pork, and the curtain falls. Subscribe to Midnight Watch. We tell stories of power, deception, and downfall. Thanks for watching.